I was just talking to myself. I thought I was live already. Whoops. I was saying, we're starting early today because I didn't go to the gym today because I forgot the pre-workout. I forgot to pack my pre-workout this morning, which I don't always need if I'm going to go to the gym. But after I've been working all night and I only sleep like 6 hours a day, and then I work all night, after getting off work, I don't feel like going to the gym until I drink the pre-workout, and then I get amped up and I'm ready to go. But I forgot it today, and I made it 3 days in a row, did my full cycle. So I'll take today off and then I'll go tomorrow. So that'd be 4 days a week. 5 days a week is the goal, but if we hit 4 days, that's good too. But today we're going to be doing Genesis 26. Did I title it right? Yeah, 26 through, hopefully we can get to 36, and we can wrap up all of the Jacob and Esau story. We started with Jacob and Esau yesterday. And again, I did my whole breakdown of Jacob and Esau on my Monday night show a couple months ago. When I do it on my Monday night show, I don't just read the Bible like I'm doing now. I read through the story the week before and I study the story, and then I pick out some key verses, and then I just explain the story and go through some key verses on the show and some of the themes and some of the ideas and stuff like that on the Monday night show. What we're doing today, we just read. We just read and talk about it. Just read and talk about it. And does this guy want to come on my stream as a guest? He's a Salt Lake City rapper. I'd have him on. There's some interesting things we could talk about. But yeah, so I just covered Jacob and Esau a couple months ago on the Monday night show. So it's real fresh in my mind. So I really just want to read through this kind of quick. So we're starting early. So I'm hoping to hit 10 chapters today because I think we get into Joseph. Yeah, so see, in chapter 36 of Genesis, we get into the descendants of Esau. So 35 is the end. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The last verse in 35 is when Esau dies. And Jacob buries him. So our goal today is to hit 37. Yeah, 36 is all lineage. It's all begats. So it's a big chunk today, 26 through 37. It's 11 chapters, but we can knock out all of Jacob and Esau in its entirety today. We'll hear about Jacob's ladder. Not a huge chunk, but when Jacob wrestles with God and he gets his new name Israel, which is we who wrestle with God. And then tomorrow we can get into Joseph, which I haven't read about Joseph since I was a kid, so that should be fun. Whereas this, not saying Jacob and Esau is not interesting and exciting, but I just went through all this like 2 months ago. So we're going to go pretty quick through it. We started yesterday. We talked about how Jacob was the heel catcher. He was the second born of the twins of Jacob and Esau. Esau being the hairy boy. He made the red pottage or the red soup, and he gave it to Jacob. Or Jacob made the red soup, and he gave it to Esau. And so his name changed to Edom, which means red. So he's the hairy boy, and now he's the red boy. And, Esau is loved by Isaac, his father, because he's the hunter, he's the man's man, he's the burly guy, probably a little dumb. Whereas Jacob is the mama's boy. He stays in the house and cooks dinner. Jacob was born second, So the heir to the lineage of Isaac was supposed to be Esau, but now Esau has already sold his birthright to Jacob for a pot of soup. And but that's not enough. He still needs the blessing from Isaac for so he sold his birthright. So basically the birthright is acknowledged now by the brothers, but they still need to get the father to give his blessing to Jacob, because Esau is supposed to get the birthright and the blessing from Isaac and be the heir because he's the older. He's the eldest son. But Jacob has already got the birthright. Now he just needs the blessing from Isaac. And I don't think that happens. Oh, it happens in chapter 27. So it's going to happen here in a little bit. But first, we're going to learn a little bit more about Jacob and Esau and their life in chapter 26. So I'll read the last the last verse of chapter 25 just to refresh us. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Esau gave up his birthright for some food because he was either starving or he was dumb or he just didn't care about his birthright. Or all three, a mix of all three. Now, chapter 26. And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went into Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in the land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. So now Isaac's doing the same thing Abraham was doing. Said, She is my sister, for he feared to say, She is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. So, like father, like son, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Isaac is doing the same thing Abraham was doing. Every time they travel and sojourn in a new city, they lie and say that their wife is their sister so that they don't get murdered and have their wife stolen from them, because that's what these degenerates in these towns do. That's why they're always living in mountains and countrysides, because every time they go into a city, if you're married, they'll just kill you and take your wife, especially if you're an outsider. So instead, they say, This is my sister, and then the king just takes them and has his way with them. But Abimelech didn't do that. But I think the other kings did. So Isaac's doing the same thing as Abraham. And it came to pass when he had been there a long time that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. Sporting with Rebekah his wife. I wonder what that means. Sporting with his wife. Does it mean they were... Hold on a second. So this is sporting in Genesis 26:8. Sporting. What do they mean by that? Does that mean what I think it means? We're going to the Strong real quick. LMNOP. EFG. Spoken. Spoil. Sprung. Spots. Sporting. Spokesman, spoon. Sporting. Isaac was Rebekah his wife. Genesis 26:8, 6711. 6711 in the Hebrew. 6711. That's too far. 65. 67. One page back. 6711. Sakak, prime root, to laugh outright in merriment or scorn. to sport or to laugh. So they were laughing. They were playing together. Okay, I thought it might mean that they were doing something else outside. No, they were just laughing and having a good time. And Abimelech sees them out his window. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Behold, of a surety she is thy wife. And how saidst thou, she is my sister?" And Isaac, wait a second. So wait, this is Abimelech again? Dude, Abimelech's already been through this with Abraham. He should know better. She is my sister. And Isaac said unto him, "Because I said, lest I die for her." And at least Abraham was half telling the truth because Sarah was his half sister. But Isaac can't make that same excuse. Isaac is just straight up lying about her being his sister because Rebecca is his, and I looked this up yesterday to make sure. Rebecca is his first cousin once removed. Your father's brother's son's daughter would be your first cousin once removed because your father's brother is your uncle, his son is your cousin, and if your cousin has a child, then it's your first cousin once removed. So Rebecca is Isaac's first cousin once removed. But so he can't make the excuse that she really is my sister, Abimelech. Am I wrong? Is this the same king that Abraham did this with? Abimelech? It has to be, right? Unless there's maybe it's like Abimelech the second or a different Abimelech. That could be. I'm not going to be able to find his name. It has to be the same name. And Abimelech said, "What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lied with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. Why do you and your dad keep coming here and lying about who's your wife? What happens if we sleep with her because we think she's your sister? Now we've committed adultery. Now we gonna get killed." But he's like, "Well, it's better than if you murder me and take her." I don't know why he doesn't just say that. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, "He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great, for he had possessions of flocks and possession of herbs and great store of servants. And the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. Why would you stop the well? Why would you fill the well with dirt? That don't even make sense. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, "Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we." And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, "The water is ours." And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well, and for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, "For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." And he went up from thence to Beersheba. And the Lord appeared unto him the same night and said, I am, ego ami, the God of Abraham, thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he builded an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of his army. That's the same chief of the former, that's the same Abimelech, I think. And Isaac said unto them, Wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that the Lord was with thee, And we said, let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee, that thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now blessed of the Lord. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. And they rose up betimes in the morning, and swear one to another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Shebath. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and to Rebekah. Bitterness of spirit. They were bitter about Esau and Judith being married. I wonder why. Now here's where we're gonna see how snaky. So Esau. So Esau and Judith get married, and Isaac and Rebekah are upset about it. Mom and dad aren't happy. Jacob's not married yet, I don't think. But now Isaac's getting old, chapter 27, and we're going to see the heel catcher, Israel, Jacob, and Rebekah plot against Isaac to get the blessing that they need so that God's plan can be fulfilled and Jacob can become the heir to Isaac's nations instead of Esau. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here I am. And he said, behold, now I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison, and make me a savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. So he tells Esau, his oldest son, who's supposed to be the heir, go out and hunt a deer, bring it home, make some food that I love to eat, my favorite food that you always make, Esau, because remember, Isaac is more fond of Esau, Rebekah is more fond of Jacob. And I'm going to give you my blessing because I think I'm going to die soon. And he's blind and he's old. He's probably going a little deaf too, because we're about to find out he doesn't hear very well. He doesn't see very well. Because they're about to trick him. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. Even though he wants deer from Esau, Rebekah says, go kill some goats and bring them in, and I'll make some meat, and I'll make it taste like the deer that he likes. That thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. I'm like a little baby boy, Mama. Mama, I'm like a little baby boy. He's a big, strong, hairy man. How am I going to trick my father? My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them. So she says, don't worry about it. I'll take the blame. Just do what I say. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. Now, goodly raiment, she took some clothes out of Esau's closet and put them on Jacob, because another thing, Esau, back then, they didn't have Axe body wash and Dove shampoo and soap and running water and all these things. Esau is a hairy, manly man who is out hunting and in the wilderness all the time. Esau's probably a stinky dude. Whereas Jacob sits inside the house, he cooks, he doesn't have a lot of hair on him. He's probably can't even grow armpit hair yet. He's like low T mama's boy. He's in the house all the time, so he doesn't smell like Esau. So she gets one of Esau's robes out of the closet and puts it on Jacob so that he'll smell more like Esau. And she put the skins of the kids of goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. So the goats that they just killed to make the meat, the savory meat that Isaac loves, she took the skins of those goats and put them on his hands and on his neck, so that when Isaac touches his hand or puts his hand on his neck, he's going to feel hair there. So he's going to smell Esau. He's going to feel the fur, the hairiness of Esau. And he's blind, so they don't have to worry about if it looks weird. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, "My father." I got to think that he's doing his best Jacob impression right now, because I get the idea that, are doing his best impression of Esau, because I get the idea that Jacob probably talks a little more like this, mother, and Esau probably talks like this. So Jacob's doing his best man voice right now. He came unto his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am." Or wait, he said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who art thou, my son?" Isaac's like, "Wait a second. You don't sound like Esau. Who is that?" And Jacob said unto his father, "I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me." And Isaac said unto his son, "How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son?" And he said, "Because the Lord thy God brought it to me." He said, Wait, I just told you to go hunting not that long ago. How did you kill a deer so quick?" He says, "God provided the deer." And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." So Jacob's not doing a very good Esau impression. Isaac is onto him. Isaac is like, you you don't sound like Esau. You sound like Jacob. But then he touches him and he smells and he touches him. He says, "Well, maybe I'm getting old and my hearing's going out. Maybe I'm just a little, getting some Alzheimer's or something in my old age, because feels like Esau. It smells like Esau. Doesn't quite sound like Esau, but the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, "Art thou my very son Esau?" And he said, "I am." And he said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee." And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, "Come near now, and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, "See, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field which the Lord hath blessed." The clothes smell like wilderness traveling Esau. "Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee." Remember, this is Israel we're talking about. Soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat and brought it into his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and he said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. Like, bless me too, Dad. And Isaac's like, I can't. I already gave my blessing. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. Is he not rightly named the heel catcher? Is he not rightly named the little swindler, the little trickster, the little cunning, sly trickster, Jacob, the heel catcher? Is he not rightly named that? Because look what he did. Like, yeah, well, that's why we called him. That's why we named him that. God told us he was going to be like that. For he hath supplanted me these 2 times, and took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answers and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me, also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob, because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So the days of mourning dad are over. We're done mourning. Now he's plotting on how he's going to kill Jacob. Why is my Discord doing alerts? It's not even open. That's weird. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, proposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life, because and Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do to me? So she doesn't want Jacob to marry the daughters of Heth, which I think is one of the daughters that Judith doesn't say she's a daughter of Heth. She's a daughter of Beri the Hittite. But they're very no mixed marriages. They don't like mixed race marriages back in these days. When we get to Nehemiah, we'll learn all about that. Chapter 27, and Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. So they keep it in the family. We've learned this. They don't want them to go having mixed race marriages and getting with the the Canaanites and the daughters of Heth and the Hittites and the Amalekites and all this. They want to keep it in the family, keep the bloodline going. And this becomes a big deal amongst the Israelites in later chapters of the Bible when we get into Numbers, which is like the first census. And we also see it in Nehemiah. They talk about no interrace relations. You don't get with people from other races. You keep it in this bloodline because this is how we keep track of the bloodline from Abraham eventually till Jesus. So they start the census basically in Numbers, and they keep track of everybody. And you see how important that is even in Genesis, how everything is so and so begat so and so begat so and so begat so and so, and they're very that's very important in the Jewish religion, in the Israelites. I keep saying interrace relationship. Is that what it's called? What is it called? Mixed race relations. They're not a fan of that. Now it's like different. You can convert to Judaism and you can just marry a Jewish woman and you're Jewish now. But back in the old days, the Mosaic Jews, they didn't like all that in the Old Testament times. And I mean, they should still technically be living in the Old Testament times. If they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah, then they shouldn't. You shouldn't see Jewish people having interrace relations, but most of them aren't super devout, or what's the word I'm looking for? Most of them aren't real strong in the faith. They don't follow all of the Mosaic law. All right. Where were we at? Arise, go to Padam, take Laban, thy mother's brother, a daughter of Laban, thy mother's brother. So basically, they want him to marry a cousin on his mother's side. And God Almighty bless thee and make thee fruitful and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people. And give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. Okay, what is the deal? Why am I getting these alert sounds? I don't think you guys can hear it, but I can hear it, and it's annoying me. It's got to be Discord, right? It's got to be Discord, I think. That's the only thing that... One second. Toskamanaja. Let's close all the Discords. Okay, Discord's closed now. Hopefully that sound will stop. Okay. Where were we? Chapter 28, verse 4. And give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padan Aram unto Laban, son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and was gone to Padan Aram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, and went Esau unto Ishmael, and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. So, which he had, took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth to be his wife. Okay, so they're not related. That's his half brother's wife's sister. So his like would that be that wouldn't be a sister-in-law. That would be like an aunt-in-law. Anyway, it was his half brother's sister's his half brother's wife's sister is who Esau married. Almost just to like maybe just to be like, forget you, dad. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place. So this is where, hey, thank you, Esau. Morning to you too. Gracias for the super chat. Let's go. Hearts. Yeah, we're doing Jacob and Esau again, which I just did not too long ago. But so now we're gonna see Jacob's ladder. So this is Jacob's ladder, verses 10 through 14. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. So he dreams of a ladder going up towards heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. So the angels of the Lord are going up and down this ladder that reaches up to heaven in his dream. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So, kind of just a prophetic dream. In the dream, God is telling him the land's going to be yours. And the symbolism behind the ladder with the angels of the Lord ascending and descending the ladder. I don't know. I looked when I covered this, I didn't really get to the Jacob's ladder stuff. So like the symbolism I see in it is like it's a connection of God to the earth. It could also be saying something of like guardian angels, that there are angels on earth. And this ladder, Jacob sees that the angels are constantly coming and going from earth to the heavens. They're going back and forth from here to the heavens all the time, especially in that land, in the land of the Israelites. And God says, I'm giving this land to you. This land is the connection to the heavens. The angels come and go from here. It's kind of, this just me thinking out loud. Symbolism of Jacob's ladder. Just got to be careful when you search it, because there's a toy that you can get at Cracker Barrel called a Jacob's ladder, and it goes tick, 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 tick. I don't know if you ever seen one of those. Symbolism of Jacob's ladder, Bible. Jacob's ladder symbolizes the connection between God and humanity. That's what I said. And God's plan to restore communion between the two. Cool. See, I told you I'm good at this. I didn't need no AI. It's almost like if you understand the Bible, you can just read it and interpret it. It's crazy. I know people think that's wild, but it's pretty doable. I mean, you have to do a little studying first, but it's not that hard. Anyway. Okay, so that's Jacob's ladder, verse 15. And behold, I am with thee and will keep thee in all the places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into the land, for I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. That's like a continuation of the story. So he woke up and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? What? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So he found the gate to heaven. Symbolically, maybe. Um, but it is that's this is the Holy Land. I think this is what is going to become Israel. It's going to become Jerusalem. It's going to become. I heard some paintings of Jesus on the cross on Golgotha. Was it Golgotha? Was the mountain that he died on? In some of the old paintings of Jesus on the cross, there's a skull at the base of the cross, and they say that is the skull of Adam because they say this is just like a theory or like an idea that some people have. I don't know if it's like a doctrine that's really taught in the Bible. It's kind of like the Divine Comedy from Dante Alighieri, how that was just a poem that was written, which was an idea of paradise, um, hell, and heaven, or purgatory, paradise, and hell. And then the Catholics kind of adopted that into their doctrine because it was such a meaningful poem, and it was such a well written and a deep poem that they kind of incorporated it into the religion in the same way like painters would paint the skull of Adam at the base of the cross. And so some doctrine has incorporated this idea into their teachings that the place where Jesus was crucified is also the place where God made Adam. Um, Now, I don't know that. I mean, it sounds cool. I don't know if that's true. That's not really. That's like extra biblical. That's not really like in the Bible. It doesn't say that, but it does say things like Jesus is the second Adam. There are parallels between Adam and Jesus. So it's a cool idea. I don't know if it's true. Just throwing it out there. It's an interesting idea that, and maybe that's the same place where Jacob dreams about the ladder because he says this is the gate to heaven, like that land. Now, geographically, that's not the same location as what we commonly attribute to the Garden of Eden, which is Mesopotamia. But who knows? Maybe because that wouldn't be in between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. So, but I don't know. Maybe the geography has changed. Post flood, the geography could have changed dramatically. So it's very possible that the Garden of Eden, where Adam was made from the dust, is the same place where the cross was, is the same place where Jacob saw the ladder. It's just a cool thought. It's not, I'm just, you know, throwing out some ideas. It's interesting. Um, and Jacob rose up early in the morning into city. Where was I? Oh, I was right here. Verse 17. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. Bethel, Bethlehem. Very likely that this is the same place where Jesus lived and died. But the name of that city was called Luz at first, or Luz. It was the same place. Earth. I'm reading through Genesis now. Cool. Well, you can listen with me and read on your own too. Nice. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And I don't know if you should be making deals with God like that. Like, if you give me food and clothing, then you'll be my God. Like, shouldn't you already? Haven't you seen enough, Jacob? But Jacob is the heel catcher. Remember, Jacob is Israel. He's the cunning, sneaky, sly mama's boy. He's the heel catcher. So, and all these guys in the Old Testament are hard headed. All of them. Every guy that we're going to see in the Old Testament, all these guys are hard headed. None of them are even close to Jesus. So, and this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee. And there's the first tithe. And now we have tithing. I'm actually going to write a note about that. I think that's the first tithe. It's the first time tithing a tenth is mentioned. Some Christians really don't like that. They don't like when you point towards tithing a tenth in the Bible. They'll say that's a prosperity gospel. We don't have to tithe. No, but you could tithe your time. If you're poor, you could tithe 10% of your time, 10% of your effort, 10% of your energy towards God. I think that's a minimal thing to ask. You should be giving 100% to God. First tithe, question mark. I mean, we've been reading all of it, and that's the first time I've seen any sort of tithe mentioned. First tithe mentioned, question mark. All right. Chapter 29. We got a lot to go. We got to get to 37 today. Chapter 29. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stones again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, is it yet high day? Neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. And while he had yet spoke with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. I guess they didn't have the word uncle yet. His mother's brother would be his uncle. Rachel is his mother's brother's daughter, so Rachel's his cousin. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. So he let Jacob stay with him for a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, Behold, thou art my brother. Shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. Dang, he had to work for her dad for 7. When Abraham rescued his family, he went through the land of Melchizedek and tithed to him. Abraham rescued it. Okay. But and tithed to God or to the king? Because he paid the king for 4 shekels of silver for the grave. And Abraham rescued his family. He went through Melchizedek. I don't remember that. I know he paid the king for the grave site to bury Rebecca. Maybe you're right, and I'm just forgetting. Um, but that was the first time that it says a tenth. That's the first time it specifically mentions a tenth to God, which is where we get our idea of tithing a tenth. Um, okay, so this is crazy. So you know how like I hear like manosphere, like red pill guys talking about this type of thing, but and I think it's based. I don't like a lot of the things they say and they talk about. Um, but this is based that in the old days, if you wanted to court a young lady, you would have to go through her father. Even as early as when I was a kid, when you had a house phone, when we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we had a house phone. When I was in like 4th grade and I had my first like little girlfriend, if I wanted to call my girlfriend, I wasn't calling my girlfriend. I was calling the house phone. And guess who's answering the house phone? Dad. And you have to say, "Is Amy there? Can I talk to Amy?" Who are you? You had to deal with the dad. When you came over to meet her and pick her up for a date, dad answers the door. And then we have in parts of history, a lot of parts of history, different cultures, there's arranged marriages, and it's more if you want to be with her, you got to go through her father. And Jacob's about that life. Jacob served as a servant to Laban for 7 years so that he could marry Rachel. That's wild. How many guys nowadays do you think would do that? None. None. Not a single one. No sex. No nothing. You got to work for her father for 7 years before you get to marry her. How many guys would do that nowadays? None of them would. That's wild. Genesis 14 is the Melchizedek story, but yeah, I don't know if they use the word tithe. Well, they didn't use the word tithe here either. I said that. It just says, "Of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee." So that's the first time it mentions giving a tenth back to God, a tenth of everything, which is kind of weird because God gives it, God gives the increase. So God gives it to you and you give him a tenth back. Why didn't God just give 10% less to you? you know? But it is what it is. It's more of a, I guess, more of a gesture or like a ceremonial law. But yeah, makes sense to go through the father of the girl, definitely. Yeah, but who's going to work for the dad for 7 years to marry his daughter? Rachel must have been gorgeous. I'm saying. Um, okay, and Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. Wow, isn't that beautiful? I'm going to highlight this because this is interesting. Jacob loved Rachel and said, "I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter." And Laban said, "It is better that I give her to thee than I should give her to another man. Abide with me." And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had for her. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that romantic, guys? Ladies? Any ladies in the chat? Isn't that romantic? He served her father for 7 years to marry her, and to him it felt like a couple days because he loved her that much. So that's awesome. That's so nice. And Jacob said unto Laban, "Give me my," and then after the 7 years, Jacob just says, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her." Yo, Jacob's ready to go, boy. Dang, Jacob's not playing around. I read authority in this. It's uppercase. It's in bold letters. Not really, but you could just like you feel his words. And Jacob said unto Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her." And you know what that means. Jacob's waited 7 years for this day. He's about to get it in. That's awesome. Let's go, Jacob. You know, the first time that Jacob doesn't seem like a beta. Up until now, Jacob's been very beta, but I respect that. I like that. No, it doesn't say go. Yes, it does. That's exactly what it says. It says, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her." And that means they're going to make some babies. That's what that means. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him and went in unto her. Wait, what? Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. Who who went in unto Leah? Laban? Her daddy? Or Jacob? Jacob wants Rachel. That's odd. Yep, Laban. Is that so he switched them? Laban tricked Jacob and gave Jacob Leah instead of Rachel. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. What? Yo, I'm sure I've heard this story before, but I totally forgot about this. What? Laban, you snake. Bro, Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel. He wanted to go in unto her. And you got him drunk and sent Leah in there? The older daughter? Now, Leah's probably cute too, because it said she had nice eyes. She was tender-eyed. Tender-eyed. What does that mean? But Rachel was beautiful and well-favored, tender-eyed. I'm guessing Leah's cute, but Rachel's hot. It gets worse? How can it get worse? And Laban said, It must not be done so in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. Wait, he's got to do 7 more years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. What does that mean? Fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. Well, I mean, but now he's got to work for another 7 years. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaids, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. Well, I mean, so 14 years he had to be Laban's servant, but he got to marry both of his daughters. That's crazy. This is the Old Testament. Remember, this is before the law. This is post-fall, pre-law. The law has not been given yet to the land, so everything is crazy. Everything is a mess. But he got both of the sisters, and I guess they're both cute. I mean, if Rachel was worth 7 years, then Leah couldn't be that bad. He worked 7 more years for Rachel. 14 years of working for Papa, but you get both of his hot daughters, which are also your cousins. But anyway, and this is wild. Bro, I love the Old Testament. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, surely the Lord had looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. What affliction, Leah? You didn't do anything. He's the one who had to work 14 years and got tricked. He wanted your sister. And she conceived again and bare a son and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he had therefore given me, quit crying. If she crying, she lying. And therefore he hath given me his son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again. Dang, Leah's fertile. Rachel ain't having no babies, but Leah's pumping them out. You know, if you don't have to keep having sex with her over and over again, Jacob, you know, after you got tricked, if you really didn't love her, you don't have to keep doing it with her. You could just, be like, okay, well, we're married, but I really love Rachel, so you can hang out here and, all that stuff, but I love Rachel and I don't want to lead you on. But Jacob is still, he's not acting like he doesn't love her. He's still getting it. He's still going in unto her. This is a family feud. This is wild. Okay. And she conceived again and bare a son and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. 14 years, he lived to 147, so not so bad. Yeah, that's true. 14 years is not as big of a chunk of life, but what do you mean, what affliction? Imagine being married to a man and knowing he's your husband, loves your sister. Yeah, but really Jacob's the bad guy here, because he keeps going in unto her, even though he doesn't love her. So he's kind of leading her on. She's in love. He doesn't love her, but he keeps making babies with her. So he's obviously, he's not that. He doesn't dislike her that much. He's got some lust. This is crazy. And she conceived again and bare a son, another one, and said, now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah and left bearing, Levi and Judah. So it sounds like she's making some diamonds in the rough, huh? Judah and Levi. I don't think much good comes from either. Well, the Levites, I don't think the Levites are super bad. They actually become priests and the lawmakers in Leviticus. But Judah, isn't Judah a mess? He had to have sex with her because it was his duty as a husband. Dang. That's crazy. Okay. Well, that was like an episode of Jerry Springer. Next chapter, chapter 30. You are not the father. This is Maury. God's like Maury in this chapter. Okay, that's a bad joke. But chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, and this seemed to be a common theme in this household. Rebecca was barren, Sarah was barren, now Rachel's barren. But Leah's pumping them out. My first girlfriend was actually named Leah, and I totally forgot about that till just now, because I don't think I ever met her. So my next door neighbor, Teresa, I was in Christian school. I didn't go to the public school. But my next door neighbor, Teresa, went to public school, and she's like, I have a friend, Leah, who wants a boyfriend. This is in like kindergarten or first grade, right? We don't even know what girlfriend and boyfriend means. She's like, my friend Leah wants a boyfriend. Do you want to be her boyfriend? And I said, sure. What do I do? And she's like, just write her a letter. And so basically we were like pen pals. I would write a note and give it to Teresa. Teresa was in the public school at Lake Myrtle, so she would go to school, give it to Leah, and then Leah would write me a note and give it to Teresa, and Teresa would give it to me. And there's no point to this story except that my first girlfriend's name was Leah, and I never met her. I did not make 4 sons with her, and I did not marry her sister. But her name was Leah. Anyway, I digress. This is the most entertaining Bible study ever. Yeah, this is wild. Okay. Chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. What? And he's like, come on, woman. I just made 4 sons with your sister. Can I get a break, please? And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel. Oh, now he's mad at Rachel. His anger was kindled against Rachel. And he said, am I in God's stead? Am I in God's stead who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? Fruit of the loom, fruit of the womb, the fruit of the womb. He's saying, is it my fault? Go to God about that. I'm not the one keeping you from having babies. I'm trying, woman. And she said, it's not my fault. That's what he should have said. He should have said, look, Rachel, it's not my fault. You see that my stuff's functioning fine. Look at all my sons, or Leah got. I got 4 sons with Leah, so my pipeline is working. It seems like a you problem, Rachel. And she said, no fertility clinic needed. We got this figured out. And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah. Oh my gosh, here we're doing this again. Didn't they hear stories from Grandpa? Like, didn't Isaac tell them stories about Grandpa? Abraham, oh man, we're doing a repeat of Abraham and Sarah. We're doing it again. Like father, like son, the apple does not fall far from the tree. And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her. And she shall, go in unto her. Dude, Jacob is just constantly going in unto them. And she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And Jacob went in unto her. Jacob's going in unto everybody. That's my new term. Whenever I see a baddie, I'm gonna be like, girl, I'm about to go in unto you. I need to stop. That's not appropriate for Bible study. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. Yep, it's definitely Rachel. It's not Jacob. He has no problem making sons. Real men make boys first. He's got 5 of them. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. What a Dan. That name this seems out of place. We got Bilhahs and Mishalahs and Amilakeks and Zilpahs and Doriphadims, and then we got Dan. Okay. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again and bare Jacob a second son. Jacob's got 6 sons now. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah her maid and gave her Jacob to wife. So Leah's done making babies. She's left bearing. She's barren, basically. She's not having any more kids. So she gives Jacob Zilpah, her handmaid. And he wives her. Now he has 4 wives, 6 sons. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob another son. And Leah said, a troop cometh. And she called his name Gad. Well, we got a whole army right here. We can fight Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? So she's like, well, you already took my husband. You think I'm also going to give you my vegetables? And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. So Rachel is wheeling and dealing. Dude, Jacob is getting pimped. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. Wait, what? She said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? So Rachel says to Leah, give me some of your son's mandrakes, some of your son's vegetables. She said, you've already. But then Leah, okay, so Leah was the one who was angry that he loved Rachel more. So she says, you've already got my husband, even though I made 4 sons with him and you haven't made any. You're also going to take the mandrakes. And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy sons. This is a little confusing. It's getting a little convoluted. There's too many women. I'm confused. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob a 5th son. So what? Jacob was done sleeping with Leah or something, but then Leah sold some of her son's vegetables to Rachel so that she could sleep with Jacob again. And she made a 5th son for Jacob. Now it's possible that there are daughters being made in the midst of all of this, and it's just not mentioning the daughters. Because remember, in all the lineages we've seen, it's only mentioned one woman. We talked about that yesterday. Usually and this is why I don't understand, they say the Jewish lineage passes through the mother, but that doesn't seem like what Moses wrote in Genesis and throughout the Mosaic law or the Torah. It seems that the father is far more important than the mother. So I'm wondering if that's like some sort of modern change in Judaism, which very likely could be. Maybe after Christ came and they denied Christ, some sort of curse, because now they put more importance on the woman for their bloodline and their lineage, which is not supported by the Torah or anything for that matter. Like it's always, you keep your father's name, you keep your husband's name, the patriarchs, the patriarchy, God the Father. I don't know why she pimped him out for some fruit, some mandrakes. I don't know if a mandrake is a fruit or a vegetable, but I just find this odd that. Anyway, my point was they could be making daughters during this, and the Bible's just not mentioning it because the son and the father relationship is more important. And as far as the lineages go, they give us the lineage of the father and they tell us of the sons who are born. And it doesn't really talk a lot about the daughters that are born, but there are daughters being born because there's how are they making all these babies? If there's got to be some daughters too. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that he only had sons, because so far he's up to like 9 sons or something. And he could also be having daughters, woven throughout all of these sons. There could also be daughters being born, and it's just not mentioning them. Unless it says here in a little bit that he never had a daughter, but I doubt it. Anyway, so Leah can. Oh my goodness, another one. So we're at verse 18. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again and bare Jacob a 6th son from her, because he's got 2 from each of the handmaids also. So he's got 10 sons now. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. Goodness, another one. Dude, when is she going to get the picture? He's not into you, Leah. And afterwards, she bare a daughter. Okay, now it's mentioning a daughter. So maybe everything I just said, ignore everything I just said, because they are mentioning daughters now. She made a daughter and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her and opened her womb. Is Rachel finally going to make a baby? And she conceived and bare a son and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph. Let's go. Let's go. Joseph's a boss. I like Joseph a lot. So finally, Joseph is born. So all those 10 other sons, forget about those. Just worry about Joseph and Rachel. Because Leah, you never liked her in the first place. Obviously you slept with her at least at least what, 8 times? At least. You slept with the handmaids, you made babies with them. But Joseph is the lineage. Joseph is the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. We're finally at Joseph. Well, we're not we still got some Esau and Jacob stuff, but we're going to get to Joseph tomorrow. But we got a little while more to go. God hath taken away, and she called his name Joseph and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. And it came to pass when, I think she ends up having like 5 sons, right? Because Joseph and his brothers. And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away that I may go unto mine own place and to my own country. Jacob's like, Laban, please let me go. There's too many women here. I've got 4 women. I've got 900 children. Only one of them's a girl, but there are all these crazy boys running around. 4 wives. I can't take it anymore, Laban. Can I please leave? That I may go to mine own place and to my own country. Give me my wives. Oh, he's taking the women and the children. I was wrong. Give me my wives and my children, from whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. Yeah, I was your servant for 14 years because you tricked me. I don't know why. Why wouldn't you just take, when he tricked you, why wouldn't you just say, I mean, I guess to honor their father, but I'd be like, no, I worked for 7 years for Rachel. You tricked me into sleeping with Leah. Now I'm taking both of them and I'm leaving. I'm not giving you another 7 years. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. Yeah, well, I don't know why, Laban. You a mess. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and is now increased unto a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now, when shall I provide for mine own house also? And he said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep my flock. I will pass through all my flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. So he says, you don't got to pay me. Just give me all the spotted and brown sheeps and cows and goats, and I'll take those. And if I take any that aren't speckled or brown, then I'm stealing them. Like, basically, I'm not going to take any of those. And if I do, then you can count it as that they're stolen. And Laban said, behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and peeled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. I don't know what that means. Jacob took him rods of green pop. What was that? Jacob took with him rods of green poplar and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and peeled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. So I'm guessing he's like carving into the he's got like branches and rods and sticks like staves, and he's carving into them, and the white underneath the bark is showing. um I think that's what that means. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters of the watering troughs when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle, ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. So he wants to be able to differentiate. See, they're doing adaptation right now. He knows if he takes all of the spotted sheep and he breeds them with other spotted sheep, that he will get spotted sheep. This way he can differentiate his herd from the other herds, and he can have the spotted sheep herd, which kind of could be it's a bit of a symbolism towards the Israelites only breeding with other Israelites to make more Israelites, and the coming tribal laws, things like not wearing fabrics of different materials. These are tribal laws amongst Israelites so that they can differentiate themselves from the other tribes. The metaphor I use is Crips wear blue, Bloods wear red. Basically, they wear different things to differentiate from other groups, and that's tribal or cultural law. Not the same as moral law, but it's what the tribe does so that we can tell who's in the tribe. And in the same way, we don't breed with people from other tribes. In the same way, our sheep and our cattle and our lambs and our goats look a specific way, because he only takes the brown ones, and the brown breed with the brown and makes another brown, and the browns breed with the browns and makes another brown. So he's got all the hound now brown cows, and he's got all the speckled uh, goats. And yeah. And Jacob did separate the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring straked and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. So he's breeding his cattle, his livestock, to be stronger than Laban's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle and maidservants and men servants and camels and asses. Yes, Joseph was the favorite because he was the only son of the wife Jacob actually loved. Right. But when it talks about Joseph and his brothers, I guess we're going to find out tomorrow. But when it talks about Joseph and his brothers, does Rachel end up having more kids, or is that Joseph and all of Leah's kids are his brothers? Because I know he has a lot of brothers, so I'm guessing that those are all Leah's kids. We'll see if Rachel has more kids. Chapter 31. Jacob leaves Laban. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. So I'm guessing Laban is a little bit mad at him because Jacob's out here taking all these sheaves and making the big strong one. He's making them stronger and better. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But God suffered him not to hurt me. And he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages. Then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ringstraked shall be thy hire. Then bear all the cattle ringstraked. See, that's what I was that's what I was guessing just now, and that's the case. He wanted his cattle to be speckled. He wanted his sheep to be speckled. Ringstraked, I'm guessing, is like striped, kind of, or like rings on them, so that he could differentiate between his cattle and Laban's, and he could take them out into the land and identify his herd. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. Okay, so he's having a dream. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, here am I. And he said, lift up now thine eyes, and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. Basically, this is like an image of we're going to end up conquering Laban. Like, Laban has the weak herd now. I took all the strong ones, and I'm breeding them to be stronger and to look the same. And in his dream, he sees his flock or his herd attacking the Laban's weaker herd. God says, I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father that is ours, and our children's now then, whosoever God hath said unto thee, do. So what kind of God says to do this? Our father took all our money, he sold us, and that money is supposed to go to our children. You know, what kind of God lets this happen? Basically, the problem of evil. They're asking Jacob the problem of evil. Why would God let this happen? Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. Stolen the images. 3. Teraphim. Herb or teraphim had stolen the images that were her father's. Let me look this up in the Strong. I think it means herb. There's a note here. Images 31:19. Hold on one second. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Injured, images, immortality, immortal, imagination, images. Rachel had stolen that I were. Images 31:19, 8655. 8655. That's almost at the very end of the Hebrew section. 8655. Oh, it's on the last page of Hebrew. of the Hebrew section. 8655. Was it 8655 or this is 8665? 8655. Same page anyway. Teraphim, a family idol, an image, a teraphim. Idolatry. Oh, it was an idol. And the Hebrew word, oh, so teraphim is a Hebrew word. Because I've heard the word teraphim before. In Hebrew, it's pronounced teraphim. Teraphim is teraphim, which is an image or an idol or a family idol. So she stole the family idol. I don't know why it says herb on the side here. Or maybe I looked at the wrong note or something. Had stolen the images. Yeah, it says herb. Well, it says, oh no, it says Hebrew teraphim. Okay. I thought it said herb. It says HEB, Hebrew teraphim. So, and the teraphim is an image or an idol, a family idol. Okay. Rachel had stolen the idols or the teraphim that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban, the Syrian, and that he told him not that he fled. Stole away unawares to Laban, the Syrian, and that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. And how do you not notice that this whole army of a family is gone? They got like 10 kids, 4 wives. He took all the cattle, all the sheep, all the goats. The speckled ones are gone. How did it take you 3 days to notice that? And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. I'm guessing it's not going to go in too well for Laban here. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp? No, you wouldn't have. You already told him you were going to let him go. And then you tell him, but first you got to breed all my sheep for me for a while. Like, what? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in doing so. You're talking good or bad to Jacob. God told you not to do that, Laban. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my goods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid. For I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. So Jacob said, I left because I was afraid that you were going to take my daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live before our brethren. Discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So Jacob doesn't know that anything was stolen. Because Laban's like, why'd you steal from me? And Jacob's like, well, I stole your daughter. I didn't steal your daughters, but I left with your daughters because I thought you were going to take them from me. Jacob doesn't realize that Rachel stole the family idol. Morning, John Barrett. You missed a good one today. A little while ago, it got crazy. It was biblical Jerry Springer. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the 2 maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent but found them not. And she said to her father, "Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me." And he searched but found not the images. So she's sitting on the stolen family idols, and she says, "Dad, I can't stand up. Sorry for not standing up, but it's my time of the month right now, so I can't stand up." So he searches, he doesn't find the idols, the teraphim. And Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban. Chode? Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban. I guess he's angry. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, "What is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee." 20 years. So not just the 7 and the 7, but 6 more years on top of that. He's been with Laban. And Laban is a jerk. He's a real jerk. "This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy goat and thy she goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten? Have I not eaten? That which was torn of breasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day, the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father." Oh, so he asked to leave, and Laban said, "You can leave, and you can take the cattle with you, but you got to work here for another 7 years probably." And then he left early. But Laban was never going to let him go. "Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me. Surely thou hadst sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of mine hands, and rebuked thee yesternaught." And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, "These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee." And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made an heap. And they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it, oh, this is a word right here, Jagar Sahadutha. Jagar Sahadutha. But Jacob called it Galeed. I like that a lot better. That's a lot shorter. Galeed. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between me and thee this day." Therefore was the name of it called Galeed. Yeah, Galeed is way better than Jagar Shahadutha. Definitely. And Mitzpah. Oh, you guys ever heard of a Peh Mitzvah? Oh, don't look that up. Anyway, a Bar Mitzvah. You've probably heard of a Bar Mitzvah. Anyway, is it a Metz? No, a Peh Mitzvah. Peh Mitzvah. That's a nasty thing. And Mitzvah, for he said, "The Lord watch between me and thee, which we are absent one from another." Not even sure how that would be spelt. Jegarshahadutha. Jagar Sahadutha. Or it's a mitzvah pa. Mitzvah. Mitzvah is an emotional bond, Hebrew for watchtower, mentioned in the biblical story of Jacob and Levi. But that's not what I'm. Anyway, you don't want to look up what I'm thinking of. Dang, W. Mitzvah, tower, means tower, watchtower. He said to the Lord, watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. Interesting. So mitzvah means watchtower. And he said, the Lord watch between me. If thou shalt afflict mine daughters, or if thou shalt take otherwise beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned unto his place. Deuces, Laban, you're a real jerk. How do you spell mitzpah? Mizpah. Just means watchtower. The word I'm thinking about is different. It just looks similar. And it's not important anyway, so we're not going to go into that. Chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God, what time is it? It's 11:15. We got to get through this quick. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob said thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks and men servants and woman servants. And I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into 2 bands, and said, if Esau come to one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant, for which my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother. So Esau's coming. He divides up his family and his cattle and his servants into 2 groups. He says, if he kills one of the groups, we can escape in the other group. If he kills that group, we can escape in the other group. But he is afraid of his big brother Esau, because he's right to be afraid. Esau wanted to kill him. He stole his birthright. He stole his blessing. And Esau is a man's man. Jacob, kind of alpha. He made like 10 sons and only 1 daughter with 4 different women. And he worked for it. He earned it. That was an alpha move in his older age. But as a child, Jacob was a beta. So he's afraid of his big brother Esau. And thou saidst, I will surely do good and make thy. And he lodged there the same night. He took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother. So he got a present for Esau: 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the droves, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me. So he's trying to offer up his family and his cattle and his herds and all the animals. He's separating the groups, and one at a time, the group is going to meet Esau and say, Hey, we're with Jacob. Jacob is coming behind us. And hopefully by the time Jacob reaches Esau, Esau doesn't want to kill him anymore because of all the previous gifts that came before him. Manner shall you speak unto Esau when you find him, and say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And there, okay, this is where Jacob wrestles with God in the night. So Jacob's afraid because Esau's coming. And he goes to sleep. He takes his immediate family, and he goes away by themselves to a brook. And he's sleeping, and he gets left alone for a little bit, and he falls asleep. Well, he doesn't fall. It doesn't say he falls asleep. So this next part is debated whether it's the angel of the Lord. Some people would say it's Jesus. Some people say that it's God. And I know that some people are going to get triggered. Oh my goodness, did he just separate? Some people say it's the Son. Some people say it's the Father. Some people say, basically, some people say it's an angel. Some people say it's God. But Jacob is going to wrestle. And he gets named Israel, which is we who wrestle with God, which I think that points toward it being God, that he's wrestling with God here. Physically wrestling him. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So they wrestle all night. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. So they wrestled all night. Jacob can't win, but he's not losing either. He's holding his own, but his thigh is out of socket. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. So they wrestle all night. Then God, or the angel, says, in the top of the King James, at the top of the page where it gives like a little summary of what's on that page, it says Jacob wrestles with an angel. But some people say that he's wrestling with God here, and that's the literal translation of Israel, which is what Jacob is about to be named, because God gives us a new name. So he wrestles with him all night. He's not winning. And then, the only way it makes sense is God or the angel of the Lord says, all right, let me go, Jacob. I don't want to wrestle anymore. Your leg's out of socket. We've been wrestling all night. I don't want to wrestle anymore. Jacob says, no, I'm not going to let you go unless you bless me. And so the angel of the Lord or God says, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So see, now it could be the angel of the Lord, because we read later that no man can look at God's face. So it could be God working through the angel of the Lord, in the same way that Isaac is called Yahweh in Isaac 7, even though it says God spoke, or it says God tells Isaac, go and speak to them. And then Isaac goes to them, and then God speaks, then Yahweh speaks to them, but it's actually Isaac speaking. So Isaac is referred to as Yahweh because God is working through him, which is that explains a lot of things later in the Bible too, but I don't want to trigger people. So if an angel comes down representing God, speaking for God, then that angel could be called Yahweh. Just like Isaac gets called Yahweh, just like Moses gets called Yahweh. When they're working in the service of God, it's like the same way if you have a bunch of soldiers in a war, and they're like bombing an area, you would say the U.S. military is bombing Iraq. Let's say we have a bunch of soldiers in Iraq. The soldiers are the ones who are, that the guys who are flying the planes and dropping the bombs are the ones who are doing the bombing. But when you watch the news, they say the U.S. bombed Iraq. The U.S. military bombed Iraq. When really the men are doing it, but they're doing it on behalf of the military. So you don't identify them individually. You call it the military. In the same way, when the angel of the Lord comes down with a message, relaying a message from God, for God, speaking for God on behalf of God, you would just refer to him as God. You would say God spoke to him, but it could be the angel speaking. When Isaac is acting on behalf of God, and Isaac is told to go and speak to the people, and then Isaac goes and starts to speak to them, and it says Yahweh spoke to the people. It's God speaking through Isaac. So this could be the angel of the Lord, and that's why it's saying you saw God face to face. You saw God face to face through his angel that he sent. Or it could be, I have to take it that way because I can't see it as literally God came down and wrestled with Jacob, because we're also told that no man could look at God look at God and survive like that. So I think it's the angel of the Lord. And when it says, for I have seen God face to face and my life is preserved, that would be Yahweh. I've seen Yahweh face to face and my life is preserved. That would be the same as when Isaiah is referred to as Yahweh, or when Moses is referred to as Yahweh. It just means I saw Yahweh, as in I saw the angel. Does that make sense? It does make sense. It makes perfect sense. Maybe I didn't explain it perfectly. I don't know. And as he passed over Penuel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. And Israel means we who wrestle with God. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. So there's a certain part of the animal that it's not kosher to eat because of this story right here of Jacob dislocating his thigh when he was wrestling with God. Time is it? It's 11:30. We've been going since 9:30. That's 2 hours. I wanted to get to 37, but it's been 2 hours. And we still got a good chunk. These are big chapters. We still got like 4 pages until we get into Joseph. So I'm going to stop here at chapter 33, right? 32. What did we start at? 25? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That's 6 chapters. Let's do one more chapter. These are big chapters. Okay, chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau. And look, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. 7 times is the number of completion. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. See, worrying over nothing. God, if you put your faith in God, there's no reason to worry. There's no reason to doubt. There's no reason to fear. He was afraid. I've got an hour's walk to do. That will be perfect to catch up on at 1.3 speed. All right, I'm almost done. I'm going to do one more, finish this chapter 33. Because this is so he's so afraid, he's so worried. And turns out Esau missed him. And Esau runs up and kisses him. And they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God hath graciously given my servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. So he's trying to offer his family and his wife and his kids to Esau for Esau's mercy. And Esau says, I'm good. I have enough. It's not like that, bro. I'm over it. I forgive you. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face as though I have seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knowest that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord, unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Sukkoth. And Jacob journeyed to Sukkoth and built him an house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Sukkoth. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padam Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he brought a parcel to a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it Elilohi Israel. Eliolo, Eliolo, Elilohi, Elilohi, Elilohi Israel. Elilohi Israel. He called it Elilohi Israel. Nice. So, turned out all right. Turned out all right. Now, the story of Jacob and Esau is not over, but that is the biggest chunk of it. We've been introduced to to Joseph. Tomorrow, we will wrap up Jacob and Esau from chapter 34. Let me fix my title. Through 33, Jacob and Esau, save. Let me find somebody to raid. Even though there's only 2 people in here. Chud Logic, nah. Thorpe's, nope. Grid is on. Glenn is on. I'll send you over to Angry Conservative today. Yeah. Rebel Without a Reason. Who is that? Send you to Angry Conservative. He's watching some judiciary committee, I think. Grid 1. Yeah, I'm going to head out, guys. I didn't go to the gym today, so I'm going to take advantage of this, and I got it done early today. Tomorrow we will wrap up Jacob and Esau. That's really all the wrestling with God, Jacob's ladder, the birthright and the blessing stolen, and then the whole deal with Leah and Rachel and Laban, or Laban. I like Laban, but that's pretty much all the big stuff from the story of Jacob and Esau. We will wrap up Jacob and Esau tomorrow with the death of Jacob. I think Jacob dies first. I can't remember, but I think Esau ends up burying Jacob, and then that's the end of that story. But a couple more chapters. There's like 2 more chapters of stuff about Jacob and Esau, and then there's the lineage of Jacob and Esau, and then we get into Joseph. And Joseph's pretty cool. I like Joseph. So we'll finish Jacob and Esau, and we'll start Joseph tomorrow. Not the book of Joseph, but the story of Joseph in Genesis. The coat of many colors. His brothers trick him. He's the favorite brother of all his brothers. He gets the coat of many colors. I forget the story. It's been so long since I was a little kid. I haven't read that story, but actually I read it a couple years ago. But because I did a read through of the Bible almost all the way through the Old Testament like 2 years ago. I started doing it. But so I did read it not too long ago, but I can't remember right now. But we'll get into Joseph tomorrow. But God bless you guys. I'm going to send you over to Angry Conservative. He's a pretty cool guy. Usually he's not really talking much on his channel. He just watches stuff. Like he plays like Senate hearings and Congress hearings and stuff like that. But say what up to him. I'm sure he'll be happy to see some new people there and maybe subscribe to his channel. And he's all right guy. But I'll catch you guys later. Tomorrow we'll be back same time, and then tomorrow night we got VK. So one more day of work, and then I'm off for the weekend. Hallelujah. But God bless. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.